Imagine for a second a nervous system that stretches across an entire planet, one that can feel and communicate from pole to pole in an instant. Now imagine that this giant being has no central mind, no guiding will, and no real purpose. Well, this isn't some sci-fi movie plot. It's our world right now in the 21st century. It's the huge, unspoken paradox of our time.
So let's really dig into this question, because it's one of the most important ones we could be asking. We've wrapped the globe in this incredible web of fiber optics, satellites, and data centers. Information zips from one continent to another in the blink of an eye. And we all know what's happening, everywhere, all at once. And yet, when we face the really big challenges, climate change, pandemics, you name it, we're totally paralyzed. We're like a giant body flailing around with no coordination. We have the awareness, but we just don't have the will.
And yeah, that's really the heart of the problem we're exploring. Our tech, our power to build and connect things, has just sprinted way, way ahead of our ability to actually manage ourselves wisely. We've scaled up our tools to run global finance and logistics, but we've completely failed to scale up our ethics, our institutions, or our foresight to handle the consequences.
To try and make sense of this massive moment, we're pulling from a few different places. We're going to look at some fascinating research into global AI systems and how big companies are trying to become more sustainable. But our main roadmap, the thing that's going to help us connect all the dots, is a big philosophical framework by Leo Gerard Fernandez called the Tetralogy. It's an attempt to weave all these threads into a single story about who we are and where we're headed.
Okay, so here's where it gets really mind-bending. The Tetralogy argues that we're living through something truly incredible, the birth of a planetary-sized intelligence. And it has a name for this, a concept borrowed from way back, but supercharged for today, the Noosphere. So let's unpack what that actually means.
Now, the Noosphere isn't just some fancy metaphor for the internet. It's presented as a real emerging thing. Think of it like a thinking layer, a kind of cognitive skin wrapping around the entire Earth. It's woven together from every email we send, every stock we trade, every scientific discovery, and every single insight generated by an AI. It's the grand total of all our connected thinking, and it's tied directly to the living planet it sits on.
And what's really fascinating is how this thing is being built. It's not just the hardware, the cables and the satellites. It's also the software, especially the AI that makes sense of all this data. And here's the kicker. It's also built out of our shared crises. These global problems are forcing us, for the first time, to think like one species on one planet. And AI is like the connective tissue in this global brain, processing information on a scale we humans never could. This quote just hits the nail on the head. For basically all of history, smarts were locked up inside individual skulls, but not anymore. Today, it's a kind of dance between our minds and artificial ones. The Tetralogy calls this co-intelligentialism, the age of shared, hybrid intelligence. It's not about robots replacing us. It's about a whole new kind of thinking that's emerging from the fusion of human and machine. But there's a ghost in this new machine. So we've built this 21st century planetary brain, but it's being run by a Stone Age ghost. Our ancient evolutionary programming, our deep down survival instincts are having a head-on collision with our new global reality. And that clash, well, that's the root of our massive coordination problem. So here's the kicker. The very instincts that made us successful for thousands of years, thinking short-term, competing with the other tribe, grabbing all the resources you can, those are the exact things pushing us towards the edge of a cliff. And our amazing modern technology, it doesn't fix those instincts. It puts them on steroids, amplifying them to a terrifying global scale. It's turning our tools for survival into engines of our own destruction. The Tetralogy frames this as a conflict between two kinds of evolution. First, you've got outward evolution. That's all the stuff we see around us, faster computers, bigger networks, more power, more control. It's the story of progress we've been telling ourselves forever. But then there's inward evolution, things like wisdom, ethical growth, and learning to hold ourselves back. And we've been dangerously ignoring that one. This imbalance is the real source of our global mess. We have the power to change the entire planet's climate, but we don't have the collective wisdom to stop ourselves. We can connect billions of people instantly, but we're terrible at actually creating understanding. We're building these incredibly powerful AIs, but get this, the energy it takes to train just one of them can have a bigger carbon footprint than several human lifetimes. It's like we're flooring the accelerator without a steering wheel. But it's not all doom and gloom. There are some signs of a change, little glimmers of that inward evolution we've been missing. In the worlds of business and government, people are starting to search for a new operating system, one that isn't just about survival and profit, but about purpose.
So let's see how that new system might actually get built.
Take a look at this. It's a framework from researchers Dahlman and Stubbs, and it shows a possible way forward. They argue that real change doesn't just come from the top down or the bottom up. It happens when you connect three levels. You have to align with the needs of the whole system, like the health of the planet. You have to drive change inside our organizations, and you have to connect it all to our individual search for meaning. It's basically a roadmap for making wisdom part of the system.
And we're actually seeing this play out in the real world. Research by Sasaki shows the most effective companies are using both an outside-in and an inside-out approach to purpose. The outside-in part is about responding to big global goals, like the UN's SDGs. That's the company seeing itself as part of a bigger picture. The inside-out part taps into what its own people care about. And when you combine the two, you get this powerful engine for change that can turn a company from just a profit machine into an organization with real purpose.
So, what this really is a concrete example of that inward evolution happening on a massive institutional scale. It's a real shift away from that old, primitive instinct of survival at all costs, which, for a business, just means profit at all costs. This is the start of a more mature way of thinking, a logic of coexistence, where our economic engines actually start working for the planet, not against it.
And this brings us right back to our central framework. The tetralogy is the map that connects all these different ideas: the planetary mind, our outdated instincts, and this new search for purpose. It weaves them into one single coherent story about where we are in our long evolutionary journey. So let's just walk through its argument really quickly and see how it all fits. It starts with our new reality, cointingentialism, the human-AI partnership. Then it nails our core problem. Our old survival instincts just don't work anymore. It offers a solution: balance our outward power with inward wisdom, just like we saw with those corporate models. And finally, it puts it all in the ultimate context, the Noosphere. This is all happening on a planetary scale, and that means we all share the responsibility. And this might be the most powerful, mind-bending idea in the whole thing. For billions of years, evolution was just a blind process. Things just happened. But now, for the very first time on this planet, a species, us, knows that evolution is happening and has the tech to consciously choose where it goes next. It's like evolution is looking at itself in the mirror.
This self-awareness puts us at a crossroads unlike any in human history. The choice we're facing in the next few decades isn't about politics or economics as usual. It could very well decide the entire future of intelligence on this planet, and with it, the fate of the noosphere itself.
And so we're back to our big question from the beginning, but now we can feel its full weight. This isn't just a technical problem anymore, it's a moral one, an existential one. We've built the hardware for a global consciousness. The defining challenge of our generation is whether we can develop the ethical software to run it without crashing the whole system.
And when you boil it all down, there are two paths in front of us. The unconscious path is the default setting, just business as usual, driven by our old instincts on overdrive. It's the path of least resistance, and it leads straight to breakdown and collapse. The other path, the conscious one, requires us to make a deliberate, difficult choice, to choose cooperation, to balance our power with wisdom, and to finally accept our shared responsibility for the planet.
This is the ultimate test. It's the grand challenge of our time. Can we actually get our skyrocketing tech intelligence, our creaking old systems of government, and our evolving sense of moral duty to all work together, in sync, across the whole world? Or are they just going to keep pulling in opposite directions until everything rips apart?
And you know, that isn't hype. When you really look at the sheer power of our technology, the fragility of our planet, and the scale of the choice we have to make, it's hard to come to any other conclusion. We are the generation that gets to decide if the human story is a short, brilliant flash in the pan that burns itself out, or if it's the beginning of a truly conscious planetary civilization. So I want to leave you with this one last thought. For almost all of human history, we were limited by what we could do. Our biggest fights were against the natural world. But now, those limits are just melting away. The ultimate challenge has moved. It's no longer a problem of engineering, it's a problem of ethics. The question isn't about our capability anymore, it's about our character.